Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Param Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vivagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Savavedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Welcome, my dear friends. We begin with our Panchadasi class from the verse 28. So we are looking into the way creation unfolds, beginning from the three energies that mix together to create the five elements, which later on divide and combine with the other parts to grossify, to bring about the physical material world as we know for us, the Jivas, to enjoy our likes and dislikes, our karmas, our vasanas, to process. Okay. From these composite elements, the cosmic egg arose, and from it evolved all the worlds, the objects of experience, and the bodies in which experience takes place. When Hiranyagarbha identifies with the totality of the gross bodies, it's known as Vaisvarana. When Taijasa identifies with the gross bodies of animals, men, and gods, it's known as Viswa. When Taijasa, on the subtle level, identifies with the gross body immediately it becomes animals, men, or gods. I found it interesting, these gods there as well. Huh? What do you guys think about that? I never paid attention to that gods there. Hmm?
Well, don't you think there's archetypical, creations, I guess, or thoughts, that exist in the universe?
I was thinking maybe it was like the devas, the elements that are worshipped in the Vedas.
Yeah.
But I had a question. It talks about Hiranyagarbha identifying with the totality. In what sense does identity come into this?
Well, that's I see. I mentioned a little bit about that. Like when Ishvara identifies with this and that, and then when consciousness apparently identifies with the macrocosm, causal body, and then there we have Ishvara, things like that. I mean, those are words that we utilize to facilitate our construction and understanding of the beauty of creation, but I don't think that there is much of any identification, because identification requires an experiencing entity, and as we know, only jivas are experience entities designed to experience and know, and as it does experience, it tends to identify itself as the body mind complex, the doer, the ego, no? The doer of actions, and so on. So there is an identification in the sense of the word we understand from the standpoint of the jiva. But when these different aspects of the creation, growthfies to become the totality of the universe manifest, these are just names, I don't take it as anyone there identify with the totality, this in the case of this elliptical egg, the elliptic egg identifying with the entire universe. It, what is that? Anyhow, let's see what the commentaries will say. The cosmic egg, this cosmic egg, this elliptical universe, as we say, it said that it's the totality, of all subtle bodies, and all vasanas, all elements in the subtle universe, and then we have this universe, and then when it grossifies, it becomes Hiranyagarbha. And then it says when this cosmic egg, consciousness appearing as a cosmic egg, identifies with the totality, and then of all gross bodies, the physical material universe as we see, as we know it. And then we have a different expression, a different term called Vaisvara. I don't know how to pronounce that. So do you know, Roots, how to pronounce that? Vaisvanara or Vaisvarana, I don't know. So
I've heard Vishwanara.
Vishwanara, yeah, it makes more sense, yeah. So when this cosmic egg means, the cosmic egg means that the material creation appears in an elliptical shape. It's born out of the black hole or the macrocosmic tamas. So we know that all the grossification from the causal to the subtle to the gross universe, it's always the tamas aspect of the elements that grossify. Yeah? And and then it says that this cosmic egg means that the material creation appears in the elliptical shape. It's born out of a black hole, meaning to say it borns out of the causal body, as its potential seed form, or the macrocosmic tamas. Okay, why tamas? Because the material physical universe, it grossifies from the tamasic aspect of the elements in the subtle realm. So the densest matter, it is said, macrocosmic tamas, the densest matter, it's so dense that even light can't escape. This is the concept of black hole, which is, the the thing that does not reflect light. Light is captured, absorbed in that sense. So it's like making a parallel with our experience. The individual Jiva, causal body, is a sort of a black hole on the lines of this presentation of Ramji, the black holes. Why? Because it's so tamasic that it offers no reflectivity. There is no reflection. There is nothing that can shine, that can, appears. There are no object. There is no duality, subject, object, when we go into the deep sleep, okay, which is the subtle body shrink back or getting unfolding back into the causal body. So the causal body is a very tamasic, and the same thing, the macrocosm tamas is said here to be a sort of a black hole from where this elliptical shape universe comes. It's so dense that even light can't escape it. In it, 14 fields of experience exist. These worlds are inhabited by 3 types of sentient beings, Viswas. So we are talking now about the concept of the 14 lokas or dimensions, the Earth being one of them, this physical material universe, in which the Viswas, as we know, interact with its environment. So it said that there are 6 above and there are 7 below. These are the worlds, the lower worlds. But the worlds are inhabited by 3 types of sentient beings. The lower worlds are inhabited by animals, animal Viswas, which have little merit, little punya. Okay. We are not going to go much in any of that, but it's said here that every creature is a Jiva, as we know. A Jiva, every living creature is a Jiva, and then we make a certain distinction. Say we human Jivas is the highest of all Jivas, so the human Viswa is the highest of all Viswas. And here, the Vidyaranya presents the Viswas, three kinds of Viswas, yeah, which are sentient beings. Yeah? The lower ones are the animals, and they are animals because they have little merit, little punya karma. The upper worlds are inhabited by celestial Vishwas with a lot of punya, a lot of spiritual merit. So the upper dimensions are inhabited by celestial Vishwas with much merit. And the middle worlds are inhabited by human Vishwas who have some merit punya and some demerit papa. So we find ourselves in between these three, the three realms on which living Vishwas, living creatures, experience their vasanas, experience their punya papa, and then it presents these three upper worlds, these three worlds in which the jivas are there, and the upper one being celestial jivas with much merit, and the middle worlds are human jivas, who have some merit, some demerit. Karma is mysterious and deleterious based on how pure and impure it handles the subtle body, because a pure subtle body is the instrument for the attainments of life's highest goal. So this is a very, very, very trick subject, because I keep trying to get something every time I'm listening to Paramarthananda, which is the guy I listen, the guru, the teacher I listen the most lately. And again and again, I hear that in order for us to process karma and to grow, we need to be attached to the physical realm and through operating through the physical body. Only when we have the subtle body, attached to the physical body with a field of objects of experience, and then we can process karma. The moment that the subtle body is no longer associated with the physical gross body, we no longer can really process or experience or interact with the field. And I asked this question to Ranji when I first met him, and I hear that here and there from Swami Paramarthananda. Okay, but then we hear the scriptures; they present these concepts that there are different realms, locus in which different beings, different Vishwas, they inhabited this locus. And then the higher ones, the celestial ones, let's say. The lower ones are the animals. The animals, for us, it's easy to understand because they are here processing whatever karma, even though the animals, they have karma, but they do not have karma, It's a soul that while it is an animal, it's maybe only exhausting papa karma, let's say, because they don't have free will so that they can be judged by the way they respond. So when we look at this lower realm of the animals, we say, okay, so I hope I'm not born next time as a cockroach, because it would tell much about how Adamic and unfair I was in this lifetime, But when we start talking about this higher locus, the above us, where the celestial beings live, okay, and they are there experiencing punya. It's presented as Vishwa. Vishwa is a jiva who is experiencing the field, but these celestial beings, they live in a realm in which there is no physical ground or stage of object. There is no field of objects to interact. It's subtle. And what I hear from Ramji and from Swami Paramarthananda, and those lokas or realms, dimensions of experience, they are subjective. So, and it says here that a lot of meritorious karma, punya karma, allows the celestial beings to enjoy, you know. So they have this merit. They go, and then we hear all kinds of things. These celestial beings, they don't want to come down here because here is tough. Because here is a place that you're not just exhausting your punya, but here you have to work hard to create more punya, and in the process you also create papa. You understand? So it is a little bit confusing, and many times I sort of ring Paramarthananda. I rang Paramarthananda 2 times to invite him to talk a little bit more to me about these esoteric things, but I'm afraid that they are going to say, "Oh, this is not relevant," you know. So karma is meritorious and deleterious based on how pure or impure it handles the subtle body, yeah, or the jivatma. So the soul, the individual soul, constituted by the 3 bodies, is called a jiva, an entity, experiencing entity. The more pure one's mind is, the subtle body is another name we give to the jivatma, the soul, yeah, with the physical body interacting with the field. And then the more pure the soul is, the more pure the individual is, the more pure his mind and heart is, in the way he moves, the way his motivations, and so the more pure the more pure will be one's actions, and the closest and the fastest it moves in the process of spiritual elevation, which culminates with attainment of what's called liberation from samsara, right? Which is purity. And there again, we see two concepts playing side by side. One is self-knowledge, and another is purity as well. So how pure or impure it handles the subtle body. So it is our actions they are going to create punya papa, and the better our actions are, the more pure the being is, the soul is, and the more pure one's thoughts, emotions, and deeds are, and then it creates more and more punya. But as we know, punya is not synonymous of self-knowledge and moksha. So punya is good, and what I hear from these teachers of ours, is that no matter how much punya you may be enjoying in these celestial realms, yet you need to come down here to get self-knowledge and moksha. That's what makes it. When they talk about this upper, in which this celestial jivas, celestial Viswas, even it says Viswas, who have some merit punya and some demerit. The subtle body, which is the reflector on which the Jiva Atma occurs, is the Jiva Atma. Jiva Atma is the only body-mind complex, no? The instrument for attainment of moksha, or self-knowledge. Animals, as we know, are tamasic and don't worry. So animals have as well a subtle body, as we know. The trees have a subtle body. Every living creature has a subtle body. But it happens that the human jivas are the ones with a more sattvic subtle body. Therefore, it produces more of this reflected consciousness, as we have been addressing. The consciousness, original consciousness, reflect. So the animals, they have a subtle body, but the subtle body does not have enough sattva. There is more tamas. And depending on the animal, some animals are very tamasic, and some animals have a lot of tamas and rajas because they are very active. But generally speaking, the difference is that the animals have less sattva, than us human beings. So that's why we experience this phenomenon called self-consciousness or human consciousness or sentience, like I know, I am and I know that I am, I think and I know that I think, I experience and I know that I experience. This knowingness, it's an intelligent intellect. It's a very subtle, yeah, reflector that replicates, yeah, this consciousness appearing as the knowing agent, the knower experience agent. Does that make sense, Gert? So these animals, they are more tamasic. They don't have as much sattva, and they don't have intelligent intellect. They do make some determinations. They have certain, I mean, Lynn have cats there. You know that your cats have certain intelligence, right, Lynn? They learn things, huh?
Yeah, they get conditioned, I think,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's really,
They don't make choice. They just get father programmed, right?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But there are several experiments that suggest that animals they tend to find a solution when they find themselves in a certain situation, which gives us a hint that there is a very simple, rudimentary sort of intellect there. Celestials are sattvic. Celestial Viswas are very sattvic and they don't worry because they are happy since they are born out of good karma. Okay, so I start getting the hint here. When we talk about these celestial beings, I mean celestial beings that walk on the earth, walk on the material physical world, because that's the only way this could make sense. These celestial beings, celestial Vishwas are sattvic and they don't worry because they are happy since they are born out of good karma. So we can see this very pure, this very celestial, the very elevated souls, you know, as some of the beautiful individuals that walked on this planet, as we know, and they can be so poor. And then it would apply to say that they are generally very happy. They were born out of very good karma, and they have a very sattvic mind that reflects this inner joy without having to develop a lot of rajas and tamas running around trying to get things accomplished. So they are happy because they don't have desires and aversions, and this may be referring to the celestial beings walking on the planet. I don't know, because if they are not incarnate, we can say that they are sattvic souls. And the subtle bodies do not have a physical body. They don't need a physical body, maybe because they don't need to process karma anymore. It's a little bit confusing, the whole subject. I have interest in these mystical things, although Vedanta has zero to do with mysticism. I hear that from Ramji and from Paramarthananda. Paramarthananda makes it clear, zero, there has zero to do with mysticism, esotericism, nothing of this belongs to, but it appears in the Vedas, and here and there we have some things that makes my mind curious. Animals can evolve upward. Celestials will become human jivas. There we go. So why? Because the celestials, that is my take, that's my understanding. The celestial beings, they unavoidably, they have to come down because they exhaust their punya karma. The punya karma gets exhausted sooner or later. And that is the limitation of punya. Because punya is like to have a saving account where you have millions of dollars, and then you're going to enjoy a long time, a long life, not having to work to produce wealth or money. But what is the downside of having that financial punya? We see that in society, the families, they get very rich, they work hard, and then they come to a point, and then the children get spoiled, and then they start exhausting all the wealth of the family, and then the following generations, people have to work hard again to start, because people, they are exhausting punya. So these celestial beings, they they inevitably they become human jivas again when the momentum of their good karma exhausts and brings them back to earth, samsara. So if they come back to samsara, it means that they were never free from samsara. They were just enjoying the good fruits of their good actions in samsara. They work to work to work. They produce a very, very punya, large karmic account, and then they did not need to come to the earth right away. They had a very scientific mind, good deeds, and so on, and they enjoyed a certain time there. But they exhaust their karma, and that brings them back to the earth. Humans can evolve upward or downward. We're in the middle, and this is the problem. Hmm? The problem is that we can become literally a cockroach, and I guess a lot of people nowadays are going to come back as an insect or something like that, because as we know, the world is being governed and run by a lot of Adamic people nowadays. So we are there in the middle, and we have two ways to go. We can elevate ourselves, or we can decline. We can go upwards or downwards. It all depends on us. And life is just about two ways. Now, it's you either elevating yourself, growing, or you decline. You never really remain in the middle there. I mean, although we are producing punya papa all the time. Depending on the predominance of merit and demerit that their actions produce. Worry, fear of what will help is the nature of human jivas. So the nature of the human jivas, these guys in the middle, we are fruit of our good punya and our bad actions, punya papa, merit and demerits, and then we are here in the middle. And generally speaking, we experience insecurity, fear, desires, worry, So, this is part of psychic of the human beings, of humanity, This is the nature of human beings, human jivas. Desires and fears, worries. And the other option is what? Is while we are here as a human being, is to become spiritually wise so that we can live as close as possible to a celestial being, in spite of the world and the body and the constant call to respond to the stimulus coming, this interaction with the world. So the better we live this life worry-free, fear-free, and desire-free, the more we become like pure celestial beings while incarnate, because it's only here that we experience. Only here we have the physical body and the physical instruments, and we have a physical field of objects for us to experience. Otherwise, once we don't have the physical body, which is the instrument by which we experience the physical world, and then without the physical body, we may be experiencing what? We're going to be experiencing our vasanas. If our vasanas have a lot of merit, we're going to be experiencing good dreams, good punya. So the whole thing is what we do with our lives here until we can become you know, my take is that self-knowledge is the beginning of a process of spiritual elevation. You understand? There is a clear distinction between self-knowledge and purity. But I believe that the final destination of all of this is not only to know I am limitless consciousness, but in my humanity, I become as pure, as saint-like as possible. I think this is the process here. You understand? Yes, Ruth.
I recently heard that when asked what the meaning of life was, the Dalai Lama said to become manifest of the transcendent. So there you go.
Say it again, please.
Yeah. He said the meaning of life is to manifest the transcendent in this world.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's beautiful. It's exactly what we are seeing here. You know, in this world, we need to become celestial beings. You know, that is the plan of demonstration. You know, we have to, you know. So this brings us to the completion of the creation. Creation's consciousness, matter, and living beings. So we have consciousness, which is not an experiencing entity. And then somehow Maya brings about matter slash energy, and then all of that begins developing the living creatures, which are designed to interact and experience this matter, this plane of matter. So far, the text has established the context in which individual human beings exist. It shows that they are part of a conscious creation, that they are not self-create, and that their destiny is determined by Isvara. Isvara is everything that exists, the five elements, the three gunas, the 24 cosmic principles, the Jiva, the Vasanas, and Karma. From verse 29 onward, the text provides the reason for a means of self-knowledge, sets up the method for removing suffering, discrimination of the five sheets from limitless awareness, and so on. Okay. So the text so far, I mean, this text is said to be one of the best organized ones. Okay. It is providing us with the context of creation and all the time suggesting that all of that is for the sake of Jivas, experiencing the world, because a world would make no sense without the experiencing agent. And then here it says that now creation is thus complete. Creation, as we know, is a mixture of spirit and matter. So spirit is consciousness, and then Maya brings about the three energies. The energies grossifies to become matter. That's why we say energy, matter is the same thing. So it is spirit and energy slash matter. Okay. So there are only these two principles in the universe. Where am I? But here it presents like creation is spirit, matter, and living beings. And these living beings, that's what I want to call here. These living beings is something very, very nice to be observed. Because we have spirit, and then we have matter, and then we have what they say living beings. So these living beings, what are these living beings? It's a mixture of spirit and matter. You understand? So these living beings is what this creation brings about, so that the mixture is so nicely put together that these Viswas, these Jivas, they shine with the spirit of Brahman, so consciousness. So we have the potential to understand that we are the spirit because we are a mixture of spirit and matter. So that's what I found nice when he has present creation is consciousness plus matter plus living being. So we know that the living beings exist, we approve, and it shows that we are all part of a conscious designed creation that we did not create ourselves. We have no doubt about that. And our destiny is not really under our control. Okay, so because there are certain laws operating, and we are subject to these laws, and the karmic cause and effect is the most determining law influencing our human experience. So we are coming to that understanding. Ishvara, on the other hand, Jiva, now Ishvara is everything that exists. It's the three energies that develops the five elements, that develops the 24 cosmic principles that I would have to go back to remember which are these 24 cosmic principles. If any one of you remember or have it as a side note, I'm sorry, I usually I spend some time preparing the class before, because then any doubt I have, I can do some research. So I will be I will look for that in the next class. I will present to you guys these 24 cosmic principles, but maybe in the next verse it may be listed. And then we know that the Jivas are there, the Jivas, and then the macrocosm causal body of Vasanas are there, the causal body, the subtle body, the physical body are there, and the laws of karma, the karma laws, that is cause and effect, is there. So that is the experience of the Jiva. It comes from the three energies, the five elements, and then lives within the context of a cosmic universe composed by several principles, in which the Jiva appears and operate by vasanas, it process karma, okay? So karma, as we know, it's a very nice subject. It's not only action, but it's all the repercussions that comes after we act. When we act, there are consequences, and depending on the manner we act, we're gonna have certain merit and demerit. Different experience. Favorable or unfavorable, good or bad results. So all of that is part of our human experience, and we know we are moved by vasanas. And vasanas are the impressions left behind from our actions, our response. They leave behind some mental, emotional impressions. It's like footprints in the subtle body that somehow is pushed into the causal body to become vasanas or samskaras or tendencies or dispositions, to think, feel, and act in certain ways, to respond in a certain way. So this is what we experience. From the following verse, the text will provide a reason for a means of knowledge, and sets up a method for removing suffering, discrimination of the five. Okay, from here on, the text is going to be, from what I understand, a little less exoteric and more on the grounds of discrimination and things like that. But I'm going to do some homework on this verse here. I'm going to listen to Paramarthananda, and I may get back to it a little bit next Monday. Viswas, awakened state Jiva's entities, see only external things and are devoid of the knowledge of the true nature. Therefore, they perform actions for results they believe will make them happy. They enjoy performing action. So, not everybody, a lot of us do not really enjoy doing many things. Like washing dish, washing pots. I mean, in the United States, everybody has a washing machine, but not everywhere. So Vishwas, before I was saying that there are three kinds of Vishwas, the animal Vishwas, the celestial visions, Viswas and the human Jivas. No? And he says Viswas is the Jiva in its awakened state when he's transacting. They see only external objects, and they have no clue of their true nature. They don't have the knowledge in respect to their true nature. Therefore, not understanding their true nature, I mean, they think that the nature is what? So the Vishwas, yeah, 99.999% of the Vishwas, they are programs operated by Vasanas, as all of us, but our exercise, their exercise of free will is very limited because they are entirely operated by their Vasanas, and they have no clue of their nature. The Vasanas tells them, oh, you are not the spirit, you are matter. And as matter, at the most you may say that, oh, okay, but I have thoughts, I have feelings, I have emotions. Oh, okay, I'm not only matter, but I'm matter and I'm mind as well, okay? But this sense of identity as the body mind is far away from the true nature of the Jiva as the spirit, okay? So this Jiva sees the external world, and they have no clue of the true nature. And due to the pressure of one's vasanas, one's likes and dislikes, they perform actions, not hoping for the results, believing that the results are going to resolve his human condition, the human condition, the sense of incompletion, the sense, of not being good enough, and inadequacy, insufficiency, and so on. So limitation. So they just perform action. Some, of course, some configuration, some jivas, they have less rajas, they are more tamasic. So they tend to dream more about what they want to accomplish, but they don't have the energy to go and work for it. So, but generally speaking, the more rajasic and the more tamasic, they are just they are just dreaming and acting, moved towards objects, pushed around by one's vasanas, absolutely unaware of one's true nature. And generally speaking, the jivas, they enjoy acting, performing action, and this is a fact because if you tell someone to stay sit sat for 1 hour, for example, it in most the case it represents a torture. If I tell my father's 9 to 1, he should be already, tamasic enough to enjoy to sit for 90 minutes or 60 minutes. If I tell him sit for 60 minutes, it will be a torture for him because human jivas, they just like to move around, even if it's just to open the fridge again and again. The tragedy of life begins when rajas enter the picture. Human Vishwas feel insecure, as we know. Why we feel insecure and why we look for security in objects? Because we have no clue of our true nature. We believe that our nature is the body, and the body is a very, very limited and vulnerable object, because soon enough we understand that the body grows and then begins decline, and very soon we understand that the body is mortal, it's bound, to die, and then, okay, so if I lose this body, I'm going to lose my life, my existence, my consciousness. So the tragedy of these jivas begins when rajas enter the picture and the Vishwas feels insecure. So we don't know if they feel insecure before rajas comes into place or after rajas comes into place. Rajas may be an attempt to resolve this problem of insecurity, and basically it feels insecure because immediately in early age the Vishwa, unavoidably identifies with the body mind, and then it begins the problem. It comes already with a lot of vasanas, ignorance-based vasanas, and then identifies with the body, and then feels very insecure and limited, and then is compelled to do actions. They look outwards into the changing matrix when seeking happiness. When seeking happiness, they should look they should look inward towards and the still silent awareness. They look outwards into the changing matrix when seeking happiness. Okay, when they are seeking happiness, it never crossed their mind, okay, let me sit quietly here and raise no desire in my mind, no fear, just stay cool and quiet, and then I'm gonna find happiness. So no, they immediately think that no, happiness is out there. So Jiva looks outward into the change matrix when it's seeking happiness. Happiness is in the world of objects. This is the conclusion of every living creature before they come to this scriptural knowledge, of course. Whereas they should look inward toward the still silent awareness, the true source of shanti, peace, satisfaction, happiness. No? But the Viswas, they look for happiness in objects, and they find it in some sort of happenings when they accomplish the objects of desire, and then something happens and they feel happy. They have no clue that there is a happiness that is not linked with any objects, not linked to any happening. It's just the nature of the mind when it is resolved in silence and peace, in which awareness shines, producing this peace that passes all understanding, as the Bible says. But no, they move outwards and they do actions hoping to enjoy the results. But as we know, the results are sometimes good, sometimes bad, and we keep experience pleasure and pain, pleasure, pain, 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 pleasure, pleasure, pain, 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 pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. In general speaking, I mean, Jiva's experience more pain than pleasure. I mean, people do not like when I say that, but at least that was my experience before I came to Vedanta. When an action removes the anxiety, they feel good. So they do even more actions. Consequently, they get many experience, which leads to many births. The problem is that every jiva, even the most unwise jiva, lives motivated to the experience of happiness. Everybody wants to be happy here. You know, even people who are totally unwise, spiritually speaking. And the problem is that people know that happiness do exist. If people who had no clue that happiness does exist, and then maybe not everybody would be searching for happiness, but everybody here and there had already experienced happiness. Right? So Jiva comes, it's totally moved by ignorance, it's born out of ignorance, immediate comes, identifies with the body, and then one's vasana load compels one to move towards action and accomplishing, gaining, and so on. And here and there, he experiences happiness. And then he says, happiness does exist, and my life is all about being happy. Huh? But the tragedy is that the Jiva, it just believes that happiness belongs to the object, exists intrinsically in the gain of objects of desires. And that's what you know, bounds the Jiva in this cycle of actions, you know, results of actions, vasanas, desires that are going to produce more action. This is the samsara chakra. You know? But it happens because people are sure that everybody knows that happiness does exist and the purpose of my life is to be happy. I just don't know how. Now, tell me why this simple teaching was never present in any is cool. I mean, it will be so simple to present the base of this science, the science of reality, the science of, a science of happiness, let's say. There is a new subject in the school, which is the science of happiness. And then early age, he explained to the kids, there are two kinds of happiness. One is the indirect happiness, which is dependent on the gain of objects of desire. And there is another one, which is a better happiness, which is independent happiness, not to the degree that you tap into your inner peaceful mind, silence, and then you're going to feel happy without depending on object, So it will be simple to present these ideas, but that would be doing no good to the economies of all countries, because and then people would say, let me try to look for the silence, because that is the true source of happiness. So consequently, the poor Jiva get many experiences which leads to many births. Many births is interesting because when the music stops, when the time comes and the music stops, there is a momentum there, which is actions and results of actions. So I'm doing actions and getting results, action, more results, and results takes time to fructify, as we know. They go to become Sanchita karmas for later on to interact with the macrocosmic and then come down the line to produce my Parabhada karma. So when the music stops, there is a lot of karma, a lot of Sanchita in the system that did not fructify. So now what Isvara is going to do? He cannot get those Sanchitas and say, okay, let me distribute this with other souls, because this guy, he wants to be free of samsara. No, you understand? So those unfructified karmas are going to require another body, another medium to carry on. You understand? Why? Because they have to fructify. You understand? They have to fructify. Isvara makes no discount to anybody. Oh, the guy, he did very well in the last few years. He wants moksha so badly. But he has a lot of sanchita in the pipeline still, as Ranji likes to say. So what are we going to do with the sanchita, They say, no, he's going to have to come to exhaust those results as well, So that's why it's important when we come to a certain degree of maturity that we don't work to produce it, not even punya, because punya brings us back, as well. If we have attachment to punya, good results, we come back and then we have to work again to produce more punya. It's not only that we have to come back to exhaust papas, to pay our debts, because anyhow in these intermediary states we exhaust some of this punya and papas when in the interval between one incarnation, one birth and another. The scripture says there is space in which we exhaust some punya and some papa until we can come back somehow, So we don't want to be too attached to punya, because our goal is to get out of samsara altogether, right? Or not? Elizabeth, you coming back again? I don't want to come back. At least not to this planet. If there is another physical realm.
Perhaps that's nicer somewhere else.
Yeah, or
But
maybe
it's good here too.
Yeah, maybe here gets better as well. Who knows? There is this cycles, of Kali Yuga, Satya Yuga, what not Yuga, A birth leads to many births. A birth is just a jiva identified with a sat object appearing in the subtle body at any moment. Ramji does not like to talk about birth and reincarnation, but birth and reincarnation is a fact. It's the journey of the soul. It may become a huge distraction and we don't need to go there. But all the scriptures point to the fact that we have had many, many births, although somehow Ishvara makes it in a way that we don't remember those, and we had a different physical body as well, a different name and different form, but the vasanas operating is a continuation of the journey of the soul. It's that is a somehow common ground there. So a birth is just a jiva identified with a thought appearing in the subtle body at any moment. This is Ranji's take on the reincarnation, saying when there is a thought in the microcosm, a thought appearing in the mind, and then we identify with that, and then we were born into that experience in the micro. In the macro is the overall thoughts, the overall vasanas, in the subtle body are going to bring the soul to the realm of physicality, and then it's going to identify with the physical body in the body-mind complex. So, but in our day-to-day, moment-to-moment experience, we have these thoughts that are appearing, and depending on how much we engage or identify with them, we again and again born into those thoughts, in those karmas, in those situations. Viswas always worry. They worry when they have problems, and they worry that they aren't worrying when they don't have problems. That is Ranji's joke there for us. So it's a common thing to worry, because for as long as we identified with the body mind, we are always worried. Why? Because illness, sickness, is possible at any time. A deadly disease is possible at any time. So if we are too attached to the body, we are going to be worried all the time. I know people that a guy that from Italy, an uncle of Sylvia, he's a wealth person, rich person, but he's so worried about losing, dying, that he does not like to go to the doctor to make examinations and tests and so on, because he's afraid that the doctors may find some little thing. And if he finds anything, and then he starts already losing it, and then he may get sick because of the worry that he has. This is due to too much identification with that which is mortal. Né? They worry. Their trajectory is not orderly, but zigs and zags from one experience to another, because their destiny is not in their own hand. This is so beautiful. So the journey of the soul in these incarnations, is not a straight line. Why? It's zigzagging. Why? Because in a moment there is a vasana that somehow, compels the jiva to go this way. And then you say, oh my God, I have lost my way here. And then I bring myself to this way here, the middle way, let's say, I want to be balanced and do my spiritual work and control this binding. And then comes another vasana when you see you took a direction that sometimes you may lose. I mean, there is nothing is lost really, but I'm just remembering in my time following gurus and so on, and going to the ashrams and come back to the world. I have this impression that in the ashram I was growing, going my spiritual way, and then I going to the world, I was going to the other direction, the opposite direction. I was getting lost in samsara. So how many times I have given up this spiritual journey because it felt like it's impossible, when I think that I'm growing, and then I find myself in terrible states with negativities coming up. So this trajectory of the jiva is not orderly. It's not really smooth. It zigs and zags from one experience to another, because the vasanas are just compelling him, the karma compelling him to go like that, and they have no control over their karma. They have no control over their destiny, because it is within the jurisdiction of Ishvara, They feel helpless like worms and always in need of help. The worm is a very nice analogy. There is this analogy, Vedantic analogy of these worms. No? They are just enjoying a little bit of sun next to the river. They are there on a leaf or something, and then comes a wind, and then boom, the poor worm falls into the river. And then he starts going like that, and he wants to get out of the river. And then he gets on a whirlpool here, and then he survives it and goes to another one. And he feels like a worm. And then comes a compassionate soul and picks up the worm and puts the worm back on the leaf. Okay, stay safe here. Don't fall on the river, because this river is samsara. There are a lot of whirlpools, a lot of ups and downs, Just stay out of samsara. No? So is the jivas. They feel helpless like worms, and they are always in need of someone to help us. Thanks God Isvara came to present us with the scriptural knowledge so that we can work our way out of samsara, right? They don't know how to get out of their bodies. They don't know how to get out of their body. What is this? I did not understand. If you have, this is an expression. This is a, they feel helpless like worms and are always in need of help. Yeah, the jiva. They don't know how to get out of their body. It is an expression from the redneck of Montana, Mr. Ramji, James Swartz, most probably. Okay. Oh my God! And then comes more reincarnation. Woo. They pass from birth to birth like insects that have halted and fallen into a river. They are swept from one whirlpool to another by samsara's restless currents, never attaining peace. Oh, that's so nice, huh? But I hear Elizabeth says that although samsara is filled with whirlpools, it's still an enjoyable trip, an enjoyable journey, right? Yeah. But we are lucky. We are lucky people, We have good karma. We have not only good spiritual karma, but overall good material karma. We are not here to suffer. We are not here to exhaust extreme purpose, We are here having relative security, safety, and comfort, and wealth and health, So just imagine the number of human beings that come here in total misery and poverty and ignorance, and that is really hell. But we are so lucky that we even got to the scriptures, So it says much about our merits as well, right, Gert? Okay, my friends. So we did 1 hour. Now the new rules is that we do 60 minutes. I will see you this coming Thursday, and and thank you again.
Arlindo,
Yep. You have a question,
we have
Claudio?
to decide if we have to decide if we want to go on with Panchadasi on Thursday also, we said last time. And
Yeah,
if it's okay for...
Last time we did Q&A on Panchadasi for about half an hour. And then the last half an hour, we did the big picture. And then in the end, I revisit that situation, that question. And I checked with you guys. I say, wow, it was not bad. Huh? We have some Q&A on Panchadasi, and then we moved back to the big picture. And then I got a positive thumbs up from Ruth, and Lynn was not with us last Thursday. Lynn was, I don't know, but anyhow, my impression is that last time it worked as it was. What do you think, Mark? Or you You want to
Yeah,
drop?
I think you're right, Arlindo. I think it worked as it is as well. I think questions and answers, if there are any, with regards to Panchadasi, and if not, let's continue and finish off this big picture at least, because
Yeah.
we've started it. Let's just finish the text.
Yeah, we are halfway, and
We're 2/3 of the way through.
yeah, I will do that. This coming Thursday, I'm going to open with Q&A, but I'm going to comment a little bit about that previous verse, the verse 28 or 29, that I want to listen to what Swami Paramarthananda, to see if we get a few jewels there from him. Okay, and then we do that. We do some Q&A, some Panchadas, and we do half an hour of the big picture on Thursday. Is that all right, Ruth? Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Vidyaranya Swami, Ramji, Paramarthananda, my good friends. See you next time, Ishwara willing. Much love.